Right now, Sandy is a 900-mile beast churning toward land, already making life miserable here in the mid-Atlantic. Sandy is forecast to make landfall tonight in New Jersey, but the force of this storm with heavy rain and winds is already being felt. Robin, Paula.
And Tahman, I don't want to keep you out there any longer than I know you want to be, but let me ask you this question. Authorities always say,
I appreciate that.
I thought you might.
Later this morning, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie will attend a statewide prayer service, and here along the Jersey shore, people will shine flashlights. Their message, light over the darkness Sandy brought. Fortunately for that big crowd headed out here tomorrow, the temperature is expected in the high 30s, a lot warmer than President Obama's first inaugural. The pomp is scaled back this year. For example, in 2009, there were 10 inaugural balls. This year, only 2. Good morning. The Navy Yard reopens today for essential personnel as authorities continue searching for clues about the suspect. The president says he expects Congress will get something done to avoid default. Aides to Senators McConnell and Reid say they are optimistic. This Friday, the governor of Connecticut is calling for a moment of silence and for churches to ring bells at the exact moment of last week's shooting. It is a difficult morning here in Boston, one of many difficult mornings to come. Today, residents will put on a brave face and head back to work. Good morning from Boston, John and Diana. It was exactly 1 year ago that terror struck here, but it did not break this city's spirit. The people here united, and they're going to stand united again today. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. We begin with Tropical Storm Arthur gaining strength just days before summer's biggest holiday. President Obama is changing course and asking Congress for $500 million to help rebels trying to take down President Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria. Despite Team USA's loss to Germany yesterday, the U.S. will still advance to round 16. Adidas is going to take a bite out of its World Cup advertising. Some of the ads feature Uruguay star Luis Suarez baring his teeth. Well, that isn't funny anymore. Suarez has been suspended from all soccer activities for biting an opponent during Tuesday's World Cup match. Adidas says it also plans to remind Suarez that it expects better behavior from its athletes. Facebook is under fire this morning, accused of playing with our emotions. Researchers secretly manipulated the news feeds of about 700,000 users to see how certain words affected their mood. The 3 Israeli teens found dead in the West Bank have been laid to rest. Tens of thousands of mourners gathered at a funeral service yesterday. Welcome back. T-Mobile is facing a federal lawsuit accused of cheating customers out of hundreds of millions of dollars through bogus charges. It was a bizarre and disturbing scene during the women's double match at Wimbledon. A clearly dazed and disoriented Serena Williams missing ball after ball, barely able to stand during her match with sister Venus. The 4th of July weekend was a dud at the box office. Transformer: Age of Extinction was the winner in what was the weakest holiday weekend in at least a decade. President Obama is urging Israelis and Palestinians to show restraint and end the acts of retribution in the recent round of violence. And a new study shows just how important Americans think their smartphone is. 47% say they wouldn't last 24 hours without their phones. Yep, and a whopping 91% claim it's just as important as their car and deodorant, all signs of our digital times. And Rena, I have 2 smartphone devices.
Wow.
And I have 0 cars. At Ground Zero, below the new World Trade Center, one of the largest memorial museums in the world is set to open its doors. The 9/11 Memorial Museum is a journey back to a day America will never forget.
On September 11th.
Clocks and watches frozen in time, a mangled fire truck, the uniforms worn by the heroes, the first responders.
It's emotional. It's very, very, very emotional.
The museum doesn't just house artifacts, it is an artifact. That's the bedrock from the World Trade Towers, the steel beams, the survivor stairs, an escape route used by hundreds during the attack.
Running down these stairs to safety was a lifeline.
On the walls, plaques and screens show how 9/11 unfolded minute by minute. It's also a sacred place, filled with tributes to the people killed in New York and at the Pentagon and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
The museum is a place where you can come to understand 9/11 through the lives of those who were killed and the lives of those who rushed here to help.
Before the public begins seeing it next Wednesday, the survivors, the families of the victims, and first responders will take tours.
Folks who are so deeply a part of the history that this museum shares will be our very first guests. These individuals are the ones whose voices tell the history.
This project was marked by construction problems, arguments over the $700 million budget, and the best way to honor the victims. The tribute is at 10 a.m. with the President of the United States and families of the victims.
You can
At star-studded inaugural balls, President Obama and the First Lady stole the spotlight. Mrs. Obama stunning in a ruby gown by designer Jason Wu. The couple serenaded by Jennifer Hudson. The inaugural balls capped off a spectacular day of pomp, featuring plenty of music.
And the home of the
a parade, and a public swearing in at the Capitol. Now it's back to work for Mr. Obama, who in his inaugural address signaled he'll push a bold, progressive agenda.
We have always understood that when times change, so must we.
The president spoke directly to the goals of the more diverse and more socially liberal coalition that reelected him, for the first time in an inaugural speech explicitly mentioning gay rights.
For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well.
He also spoke about climate change, equal pay for women, and immigration reform.
Our journey is not complete until we find a better way to welcome the striving, hopeful immigrants who still see America as a land of opportunity.
The president paused during many of the day's special moments, seeming to take it all in, knowing this would be his last inauguration. Some Republicans thought President Obama's speech was too partisan. With divided government here in Washington, he will need some GOP support to pass his big agenda items. Rob, Paula.
All right, Tahman Bradley live in Washington. Tahman, we also had some breaking news overnight that also part of the president's second term is going to get you a new hat.
Stop that.
I'm joking with you.
It's warm, though, okay?
That's all that matters. Stay warm,
Easy for
Tahman.
us to say we're here warm in the studio.
That's true. He's doing the hard work. Thank you, Tahman.